What's up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Barbecue. What I'm going to be doing today is going to be a grilled potato salad. This was a recipe posted by Angie, who has a Facebook page called Motivational Fitness, Strength, and Nutrition. If you're into nutrition, want to get into nutrition, thinking about getting nutrition, they got all kinds of people over there, all different shapes, sizes, whatever. So run by there and take a look. If nothing else, they have some great recipes. Anyway, this was a recipe I thought was pretty unique. I think potato salad is something that can be changed up a lot of different ways, but I've never seen a grilled potato salad, so we're going to knock that out. Anyway, let's take a look at the ingredients. Now, if you look in the description, what I'm going to have is a link to that Facebook page I was talking about earlier, and I'm going to have the ingredients and directions on this recipe. Anyway, what we're going to need to knock this out is we're going to need some red potatoes. We're going to cut these potatoes in quarters or eighths depending on how big they are. We have some red wine or some apple cider vinegar, I have some black pepper, canola oil, brown mustard, red onion, Greek yogurt, garlic, mayonnaise, whatever kind you want. The recipe called for parsley. I'm going to use some cilantro in place of that. And then I have celery and green onions. What I'm going to be using for my salt is this salt that was given to me by another YouTube channel called Spoon Fork Heart. Her name is Suri, and she's over there knocking out some excellent Asian dishes. So if you're looking for something along those lines, run by her page and take a look at what she has. I'm going to put a link to her channel in the iCard above and the description as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get things prepped up. First thing I need to do is bring these potatoes to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to shut it off and let the potatoes sit for 10 minutes. So we're going to pick this up when that is done, and I'm going to go ahead and process the rest of these ingredients as well. The potatoes, I brought them to a boil, shut it off, let them sit for 10 minutes. Then I threw them in some cold water and let them sit for about another 5 minutes. Now I have those draining right now. So let's go ahead and start on this sauce. Now, really all we're going to be doing is just adding all these ingredients. So let's get the mayonnaise in here. And if I look at it and it looks like it needs some more mayonnaise or Greek yogurt, I will just go ahead and add that, but I won't know that until we get a little bit further in. One ingredient that I didn't mention earlier was I did have some eggs that I boiled, and then I just have those roughly chopped. Here's our garlic. Let's go with our green onions. Now when it comes to this recipe, you can add as many or as little vegetables as you like. I kind of like mine to have a little bit more of that vegetable crunch to it. But like I said, feel free to adjust your recipe. Like I said, cilantro in lieu of the parsley, and I almost went with dill as opposed to the cilantro. So I think that would have been a nice adjustment as well. I'm using the brown mustard that was listed in the recipe. I think Dijon mustard would go well with that also. Now here's our sea salt that was sent to me by Spoon Fork Heart YouTube channel, and our pepper. And I'm going to mix this in. Alright, that looks like we're going to be good to go. And it's calling for about 1.5 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. Let's get that in. Now the potato salad recipe that I saw didn't look like it was a real wet potato salad. It did look kind of dry, which is kind of how this is turning out. So that's kind of along the lines as the recipe looks. So I think we're doing good on this. Alright, I don't want to overfold those eggs. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this in the refrigerator, and then we're going to get cutting up these potatoes. Well, we have our potatoes cut up. The recipe called for us to cut them in quarters. So here's kind of what we're looking like. So that's going to be a fairly rustic potato salad, a lot bigger than what I think most people are used to, but that's what the recipe called for. That's what I'm going for. Anyway, what we need to do is get them oiled down before we go out on the grill. So what I'm going to do is hit it with some canola oil, and then we're just going to mix it in. Try to make sure that everything is coated before they hit the grill grates. Can't go wrong with a little bit more oil. So let's take it out to the grill. So what I've done is clean the grates. I've oiled them down. Now let's just go ahead and get our potatoes on here. It doesn't really matter how they fall on here as long as they get on there. And I'm cooking these directly over the coals. Once I get the lid back on the top of it, the temperature should come down quite a bit. These potatoes have been on here about 5 minutes. As you can see, I've turned one of them over and you can tell it's starting to get those grill marks on it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these all over one more time. And once they're done on this next side, we're going to take them inside, let them cool down, and mix it in with the dressing that we have made earlier. We got these potatoes off the grill. We're just going to go ahead and add this to our little sauce mixture we have here. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of mix in a few at a time, just to make sure we're not having too many potatoes in there. Like I said, these are some pretty rustically cut potatoes. Actually, no, I'm just going to be able to handle all that. Let's go ahead and mix all this in. And once we get this mixed in, it's just going to go in the refrigerator. A couple hours would be best, but I'm a little hungry, so it might only have a half hour to sit in here. Here's what our potato salad's looking like. Let's take a taste. Potato salad's had a chance to rest. Now really all it's time to do is to get in and see what's up. That is a very unique potato salad. You know, I like the grilled flavor of it. Next time I do it, and I will do it, is I'm going to go ahead and grill them on the grill, and then when I bring them in, then I'm going to cut them into a little bit more manageable pieces, because these are, you know, pretty big chunks, so you end up having to cut them up anyway. But the flavor is outstanding. I'm glad I saw this. Anyway, thanks for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. Let me finish chewing. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.